Today we are taking a look into verse 17 through 18.
When I saw him, I fell at his feet like a dead man. And he placed his right hand on me, saying, "Do not be afraid. I am the first and the last, and the living one. And I was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore, and I have the keys of death and of Hades."
If you recall, at the beginning of this chapter, I explained that John was one of the three apostles who were in the inner circle of Jesus, and that he was called the one whom Jesus loved. He was even the one whom Jesus called to take care of his mother after his death. My point is, I think it's safe to say that Jesus and John had a special bond. And yet here, we do not see John run to Jesus to embrace, but instead, upon seeing Jesus in the fullness of his deity, he falls like a dead man, so frightened he could not move. What does this suggest? If you think you're a good person now, you won't when you stand before him. It's the natural reaction of sinful man to fall face down when in the presence of the Holy One. Friends of God, like Abraham, Joshua, and Ezekiel's natural reaction was to fall forward in the presence of the Almighty because they got a glimpse of his holiness, his righteousness, his power, and they immediately recognized how sinful they genuinely were. The more we understand the holiness of the Lord, the more we understand how flawed and wicked we really are.
Listen to what happens next, starting in the second part of verse 17. And he placed his right hand on me, saying, "Do not be afraid."
Because John is fearful, Jesus comes to him and gently places his hand upon him in reassurance. Let's examine what Christ says. First, he says, "Do not be afraid." Now, let's be clear. This is a statement that is made to John as a faithful follower, a bond servant for Christ. For all of us who are Christ followers, we don't need to be afraid.
Then Jesus says, "I am the first and the last and the living one. And I was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. And I have the keys of death and of Hades."
So here is the Lord in all his glory, placing his hand on John to comfort him, echoing what we already studied in verse 8, the Alpha and Omega, and the one who is, who was, and who is to come. You saw me alive, and remember you saw me die, and you saw me resurrected, and now here I am alive forevermore as the Almighty. I think that part is clear, but then he says something we haven't come across yet. I have the keys of death and of Hades. Keys indicate ownership and authority of property. If you own a house or a car, you are the one who holds the keys to it. You pay a price for it, control it, and maintain it. Christ paid for our lives with his death and blood on the cross. Listen to Hebrews chapter 2.
These children are people with physical bodies. So Jesus himself became like them and had the same experiences they have. Jesus did this so that, by dying, he could destroy the one who has the power of death, the devil. Jesus became like these people and died so that he could free them. They were like slaves all their lives because of their fear of death.
So the Lord names the two things mankind fears the most: death and Hades. Want to know the real reason why people fear death? They fear what death might bring: eternal punishment. Take note, Jesus says he holds the key to this place, and by doing so, he validates hell is a real place, and it is he that determines where we spend eternity. Listen up. You can believe in Jesus and not be a follower. Trust me when I tell you, Satan and his demons believe in Jesus, but they're not going to experience an eternity with him. If you never want to spend the time to get to know the Savior because you want to live life by your own rules, then you are not a follower of Christ. Maybe your parents had you baptized as a baby, but you haven't been to church since, or your parents are Christians, so you assume you are. All I can do is stress that if you don't come to a saving knowledge of Jesus, and what I mean by that is not just an intellectual knowledge, but a spiritual understanding that leads to faith and a transformative relationship with the living God. If you don't seek that out in this life, you won't get the opportunity in the next. I came across this TikTok video and it's quite powerful. Let's end with this.
There's this analogy of a man. He says he had a dream, and in his dream he was in an open grass field, and the grass field was split by a fence. And on one side of the fence was Satan, and on the other side of the fence was God. And Satan looks at him and he says, which one do you want? You want God or you want me? He's like, if you come over here, I'll give you all you want. I'll give you everything you want. But if you go with God, you don't get everything I'm offering you. And so this guy's contemplating. He's like, oh man, Jesus, like, you're there, you're so good, but man, Satan, there's some things that I really enjoyed. So he laughs at both of them, and he sits on the fence. He says, I don't have to choose either of you. I can be on both sides of you at the same time. And as he's laughing and scoffing at Satan and God, it goes black. And out of the darkness comes Satan. And the man goes, no, Satan, like, I didn't choose you. I sat on the fence, so I got a little bit of Jesus and I got a little bit of you. And Satan grabs him by the arm and grips him really hard and says, the fence belongs to me.